Hello and welcome to this week's Hippie Hyena. Now, there's a show on British TV called How Clean Is Your House? And there might be an American equivalent, as often happens with successful or even middlingly successful British TV shows that they get remade in America. Because Americans don't like watching shows where people have British accents. Anyway, that aside, there's a show called How Clean Is Your House? And the basic premise of this show is that a couple of, I suppose you might call them experts, cleaners or something, I'm not sure what their qualifications are, go round to somebody's house who has, let's say, less than adequate hygiene for their house, and then they kind of, move the fridge to the side and sort of really stick the camera's nose into the scrunge that has built up under there, or sort of like the fungus that has built up in people's showers, or anything sort of disgusting. And there's a certain kind of pleasure, an odd pleasure to be had by viewing these disgusting things. Sort of, maybe that's somewhat similar to the success of the pimple popping videos, which were popular several hundred years ago on YouTube. There's a sort of odd pleasure to watching other people have this disgusting, vile, and sort of vomit-inducing situation around themselves. And so, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to John Doyle, and hopefully we can sort of enjoy, if enjoy is the right word, delving into his content in much the same spirit as a viewer may view How Clean Is Your House?
Yesterday, Joe Biden was inaugurated. I don't know if anyone watched it. I didn't, but I'm told it happened, and so I believe it because I'm trying to adjust my behavior to prepare myself for the next few years by just believing everything that the screen people tell me. So screen people say Joe Biden's president? Hell yeah. I salute President Dementia.
He says, implying it's not true, but it is true, John. It is true. Biden is the president of America, and the sooner you quit coping and start facing up to it, the better for everyone involved. Well, probably not you, and to be honest, not me. The fact that you're still, after all this time, unable to reconcile reality with your mad delusions is nothing but a joy to me.
That's the chef's kiss on the accelerating decline of the American nation. But anyways, we gotta go speedy quick because I got a plane to catch.
And this is what I kind of mean by the weird pleasure from delving into scrunge. Because that point, John, that point you just did, that pointing at the camera thing that you regularly do, it's really, really cringe. It's sort of like, it's obvious that you think that it makes you look kind of go-getting and maybe even powerful. It's kind of like a politician's pose that's been given to them by a marketing team trying to make them look, well, in any way electable, but that it's something completely outside of the user's already established body language, so they kind of come off as weird and awkward when they do it. That's kind of what you look like, John, because there's something incongruity, which is a term that means when your external body language doesn't match your internal attitude, which is what we can see here so clearly. And this is where the cringe arises from in John Doyle's case, that he is a person who's desperately attempting to project a sort of confident image when you can immediately see it's a very thin veneer on a deep-seated insecurity and just general beta maleishness, as much as I hate to use that term. Let's take a look at that point again and really wallow in just how cringe it is. So, if you thought that was cringe, just wait until you see his title sequence. Now, usually I black and white my clips to avoid copyright strikes, but this bit I'm about to show you was already put in black and white, so just explaining that so you can tell. But I'm warning you with peace and love, this is quite possibly the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I might cover more John Doyle videos, but I won't repeat what you're about to see because it's extremely difficult to tolerate. I mean, they say so much for the tolerant left. This is really going to push your boundaries on what you're able to tolerate, just in terms of extreme secondhand embarrassment. So prepare yourselves. If you're not sitting down, I probably would. And if you have some of that personal protection for COVID, such as a mask, or maybe even a blindfold or some headphones playing some pleasant music, maybe put those on now, because what you're about to see, you can never unsee. You've been warned. Here goes.
John Doyle in. Heck off, commie.
Yes, you really did just see that. I know it's going to be hard to believe, but now you have the knowledge that there are people out there in this world who would film something like that, who'd take the time to edit it, make it black and white, add music over it, and then be kind of so proud of it, they make it the intro to every video they make. Yes, John Doyle does exist, and he's not just the invention of the fevered mind of a psychologically unstable satirist.
Getting into our list of 5 red flags, we have the first one, which is the manufactured victory, the appearance of victory being totally manufactured.
Ugh, it's exactly this kind of stupid conspiratorial nonsense that caused people to lose their lives in the Capitol insurrection. Mind-numbingly stupid. What do you mean the appearance of victory, you blithering dingleberry? Biden won the damn election. I mean, this copium has been so much that now the phrase copium is kind of a dead meme, but it's still ongoing. It's like the meme died before the actual thing the meme was about did. My God. John, let it go. You lost.
Just like in a banana republic, you've got thousands of soldiers protecting the establishment politicians from the threats of those over whom they wish to govern. That inauguration was very weird.
Yeah, it's almost as if a bunch of lunatic right-wing terrorists tried to invade the Capitol, murder politicians, and overthrow democracy, and threatened to try and do the same on the date of the inauguration. It's almost like that. I mean, one might be forgiven for thinking that it was not just like that, but that it was that. I mean, John Doyle knows that's what it was. All of these idiot right-wing chunderhead talking screen people, as John Doyle would say, know that that's the reason why there's soldiers out there. They all know it. Of course they know it. The question is, are they expecting their viewers to be so dumb that they don't know why that is? Or do they just, maybe they just don't care? I mean, I don't really understand what this exercise in trying to spin the soldiers guarding the politicians as being somehow strange or an example of sort of despotic leadership or something, when everyone in pretty much the entire world knows why they're there, and it's not for that reason. It's for a very good reason, because total maniacs have threatened to come and try and kill people. Everyone knows this. John knows it, and I imagine most of his audience know it. So what is this weird theatre that's going on? It's just bizarre.
It's weird that the most popular president in the history of our country didn't have a massive crowd, and I think we all know why.
Yeah, because he asked people to not come, because there's a pandemic going on, and it would be pretty irresponsible to ask people to come. So he told them to not come. A 5-second bit of Googling would have told you this, John, but clearly there's not a lot of research that goes on into this show. And just a general lack of information. There's a lot of misinformation, but not much actual information. Also, Joe Biden is by no means the most popular president America has ever had. By no means. He got a lot of votes for a number of factors, one of which was that postal voting meant people who often didn't have the time or access to be able to vote were able to more easily this time. But I think more importantly than that, this was actually an election not really about Biden at all. It was an election about Trump, and for people who liked him or didn't like him. And what it actually says is Trump is the most fantastically unpopular president that America has ever seen, and probably the worst president that America has seen. And who knows, if things go well for the future, maybe the worst America will ever see. It's hard to imagine one worse at this point, but I mean, people said that about George Bush, and look how that turned out.
The point being that if it were Trump, people would have showed up by the hundreds of thousands, even if the city were locked down.
Yeah, and you know why that is? Because Trump supporters are idiots. They're They're absolute idiots. And they like nothing more than gathering together and coughing on each other and spluttering on each other and who knows, maybe even licking each other's faces just to make sure that virus is really, really spread around. And then probably a lot of them dying because they don't have healthcare. So, that's, I suppose, ironic. And before we go, I just want to point out something that John Doyle is still wearing a MAGA hat all this time after Trump lost the election. Is the MAGA hat gonna become the new Confederate flag? Like, if you just absolutely want the world to know, you feel it's important that you want the world to know that you're not only a racist, a misogynist, and an idiot, but that you're a complete and utter loser. They already have the Confederate flag for that, I guess. But I think, they're adding the MAGA hat to that short list of adornments which can communicate that fact to the world. Anyway, I hope you had fun, if fun is the right word, for delving into this foul, putrid, stinking barrel of cringe and pulling out globules of secondhand embarrassment along with me. Hope you're doing well. Goodbye.